Every single morning, we pour our heart into this.
The bread was still warm under his palms when the bell above the door rang, and Marcus Bell looked up to see the last face on earth he expected to walk into his bakery. Diane Whitfield. The woman who had stood behind a mahogany desk 2 years ago and told him, without blinking, that his position had been eliminated. The woman whose signature was on the termination letter that turned his world upside down. If you believe in second chances, in kindness finding its way back to people who deserve it, hit that like button right now, drop a comment below, share this with someone who needs a little hope today, and subscribe to Kindness Corner, because this story is about to remind you why we're all here. Marcus had been an operations manager at Whitfield Logistics for 11 years. He'd given the company his mornings, his weekends, his loyalty. Then one Tuesday, restructuring happened, and he was escorted out with a cardboard box and a severance check that barely covered 2 months of rent. He was a single father. His daughter, Nora, was 7 years old, and she didn't understand why Daddy stopped wearing his work shoes. The months that followed were the hardest of his life. He applied to over 60 jobs. Rejection after rejection piled up like unpaid bills on the kitchen counter. He sold his car. He sold his watch, the one his own father had given him. Some nights he skipped dinner so Nora wouldn't notice the fridge was emptier than it should have been. He remembered standing in the shower, water running cold, just so she wouldn't hear him cry through the thin apartment walls. But Marcus had one thing left that no layoff could touch, his grandmother's bread recipe. She had run a small bakery in the neighborhood decades ago, and as a boy, Marcus used to sit on a flour sack and watch her hands work the dough like it was a living thing. When everything else fell apart, he found himself in her old worn recipe book at 2 in the morning, needing something, anything, to hold on to. He found a shuttered bakery for rent on a quiet street, cracked windows, a rusted sign, mice nesting in the walls. It was all he could afford. He and Nora scrubbed the floors together on weekends. She colored little paper signs that said, "Opening soon," and taped them to the windows with crooked pride. Marcus worked 18-hour days, kneading, baking, failing, trying again, teaching himself through burnt loaves and stubborn yeast. Slowly, the smell of fresh bread began pulling neighbors through the door. Word spread. A regular came back for seconds. A woman cried because the sourdough tasted like her late mother's. The bakery, named simply Nora's, became a small, stubborn miracle. And now, on an ordinary Thursday morning with flour dusting his forearms and a fresh batch of baguettes cooling by the window, Diane Whitfield stood frozen in his doorway, her sharp orange blazer suddenly looking out of place among the warm brick and the smell of butter and yeast. Her eyes searched his face, confusion and disbelief colliding. "Why are you here?" she asked quietly, though it wasn't really a question about the bakery at all. Marcus wiped his hands on his apron and met her eyes without anger. He told her the truth, that losing that job had broken something in him, but it had also forced him to rebuild it into something that was finally, truly his own. He told her about Nora, about the paper signs in the window, about the nights he didn't think he'd make it. He wasn't looking for an apology. He'd stopped needing 1 month ago. Diane's composure cracked. She admitted she'd been let go herself just 3 months prior, her own company restructured without warning, the same cold language turned back on her. She hadn't slept well since. She'd walked past this street a dozen times, drawn by the smell of bread she couldn't explain, never realizing whose hands were shaping it. Marcus did something he didn't plan. He handed her a warm loaf, still steaming, and told her that everyone deserves a second chance to rebuild, even the people who once thought they were untouchable. Diane's eyes filled with tears she didn't bother hiding, standing in the doorway of the life she once dismissed as disposable. If this story touched your heart even a little, please take a moment to like this video and leave a comment. It truly means the world and helps this channel keep telling stories like Marcus's. And before you go, I'd love for you to comment one word below that describes what kindness means to you. Because sometimes the people who close one door for us are the same ones who end up needing the warmth we built behind the next one, and that, more than anything, is what second chances are truly about.